Welcome to another episode at CELPIP. Today we're diving into the CELPIP Writing Task 1, the third section of the CELPIP test. This task is to write an email, and it's crucial to understand the format structure and the strategies to ace this part of the test. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of CELPIP Task 1, let's take a quick look at CELPIP Writing. As you see in the screen, it is completely different from the CELPIP listening and reading section that you have been familiar so far. You see, both the prompt and the answers are shown on the screen simultaneously. This setup allows you to go back and forth between the instruction and the prompt in order to make sure that you are on track. On the prompt side, we have the background information, which is vital, and you have to read it cautiously in order to figure out what the setting is to write an email to make an inquiry based on that information. On the right side of the screen, which is the answer side of the screen, you will see the instructions for that specific task, and you have to write a response beneath this in the white blank space. This white blank space is called the typing area. Now let's talk about some key features of CELPIP writing interface that you should be aware of. Countdown timer. This timer is located on the top right corner near the next button as usual. It counts down by the minute as time passes. It helps you to manage your time effectively, not to put too much time on that specific task and run out of time. Word counter. The word counter is your best friend. Don't forget to check it during the writing exam. It's located right beneath the typing area and helps you to stay within the required word count range of 150 to 200 words. Another wonderful feature that CELPIP exam offers is the spell check that can be useful during the writing. However, there are some limitations to this feature that you have to be aware of in order to avoid any potential pitfalls. Similar to the feature in Microsoft Word, the spell check in the CELPIP writing exam underlines potentially misspelled words in red. This helps you identify typos and make sure your writing is polished. However, there are some limitations that you have to consider, as it was told before. The limitation includes those words that are actually a correct word in English language and you typed it by mistake for something else. For example, you were going to type cut, C U T, and you typed CUTE, which is actually a word in English, and it does not identifies it as a typo. But if you write instead of, for example, CUT, you write CUTT, then it identifies and underlines it as a red word. So you can go to that word and right click on the word and see the options provided. That's why this is the limitation, and you have to use it wisely in order to in order not to miss any points for the words that they were actually right or wrong and you mistakenly choose one of them. So be aware of English spelling and minimal pairs. In order to use the spell check effectively during the writing task, you need to first review the underlined words carefully. It means do not blindly accept all suggestions. Just go there and you found if you found underlined words but appears that the spelling is correct in Canadian English, just leave it there as is. Also, Double check unfamiliar words. If you're unsure of a spelling of a word which is a little bit strange to you, you know that word, but you don't remember the spelling, try to use a synonym or rephrase it. But again, be sure that you're conveying the same message using that word. The last but not the least is always focusing on communication. So prioritize clear and concise communication over chasing every potential spelling error in your writing task. Another point regarding a spell check that we have to take into consideration is the rater evaluation. You know, while spell check helps you identify the typos, raters rate your writing task based on various criteria, including grammar, vocabulary, and how the message was clearly conveyed. So, errors beyond typos still impact your points and scores in the writing tasks. Typing and spelling. While the CELPIP writing test accepts both American and British English, it's essential to be consistent throughout your writing to avoid any confusion. Remember, the CELPIP spell check can be a helpful tool, but it's a complement, not a replacement for your own knowledge of English spelling, grammar, and communication skills. Use it strategically to identify potential errors while focusing on delivering a clear and grammatically correct message. Now let's dive into task 1, writing an email. In this task, you are required to write an email based on the prompt provided. Let's go and consider the points that you have to keep in mind before taking this task. Number 1, task achievement. Make sure you address all tasks listed in the instruction, usually 3 to 4 subtasks. So, these tasks are not optional and be sure to complete them all not to miss any points or marks in your CELPIP writing tasks. The second point to consider in writing tasks is the word count because it's very important. And if you don't uh, follow the rules, you might lose points. So always aim for a word count between 150 to 200 words. Anything less than 135 and more than 220 words may result in penalty and losing marks. Another point to consider is the email format. As you know, CELPIP writing task 1 is considering and evaluating your ability in writing an email. So avoid using letter format in your task 1. This means there is no need to add home or business address in your email writing. Therefore, just follow the format and the tone and level of formality required in the instruction. Subsequently, you do not need to add to, from, or subject line in your email. Although they are part of an email, you are not required to do so in the CELPIP writing task 1. So you can start your writing by directly typing the greeting. Greeting. Choosing an appropriate form of greeting depends on the writing task context. For example, some prompts might involve writing to a colleague, someone that you are completely familiar with and you know each other. But sometimes it involves writing to someone that you are not familiar or you have never been in contact to, like supervisor or someone in your neighborhood or someone you're just writing to and you don't know who the recipient is. Here is a list of greeting styles that you can utilize in your writing task 1 while writing an email. You see, for formal greetings, you can use dear and put the recipient's name, dear sir or madam, and then to whom it may concern. That is completely formal. On the other hand, we focus on semi formal greetings like hello, the person's name that you're familiar with, your friend, your colleague, someone you're acquainted before and you know each other. Or sometimes you can say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the person's name in front of that. And you put a comma and start writing the email based on the task requirement. Based on the style that you choose for your greetings in your email writing, you need to also be careful what type of sign off you're using. Accordingly, I put a list of formal and semi formal sign off for your writing. So consider it and choose whatever you like. You can pause the video and take note of it. Another point to consider regarding task achievement is purpose statement. You have to mention the purpose statement in your email, and that's better to mention it in the opening paragraph. This sets the tone for the rest of your email and helps the recipient understand the context of your communication. Another point to consider regarding task achievement is the body paragraphs. Make sure you read the instructions carefully and understand what tasks are required to be mentioned in the email. Then, try to uh, address each task in a logical order and make sure they are coming in a flow that is related to each other. I mean, ensure the clarity and coherence among these tasks. And then use examples and supporting ideas to strengthen your points. Another point that we have to consider in our email writing in CELPIP Task 1 is to consider concluding statement. You know, by concluding, it doesn't mean that your email writing is done. No, there are, there are two more tasks that you have to achieve in your email. So let's consider concluding a statement first. By concluding a statement, it means summarize your main request or reiterate your key points in a concise concluding sentence. After this concluding statement or sentence, you need to put the sign off. And you know that in the greeting, I introduced you some form of sign offs based on the level of formality, formal and semi formal. Here, after a sign off, you need to go to the signature part in order to finish your email. And in the signature, you don't need to use your real name. You can use fake name. So there is no, we say, obligatory choice that you have to use your name. No, whatever you're comfortable with, you can put a name over there and finish your email. Now that we've covered the basics of task one, let's cover the skills and strategies that can help you ace this part of the CELPIP exam. In order to improve your writing score, you need to be skilled in brainstorming and outlining. Many candidates ignore this step and they immediately start writing, but they um, lose track of their organization or their writing because they don't know from where to start and where to finish. So, the reason that I ask you to do the brainstorming and outlining is to be always organized. It just takes you 1 minute to brainstorm your ideas and outline them. Then your information flows logically because you know from where you started and where you want to finish, what points you want to talk about, what points you're not going to talk about based on the task requirement. In order to ace the test in CELPIP Writing Task 1, You need to write in a way that is compelling enough for the raters to give you higher scores. To do so, you have to follow the instructions and make sure your main ideas directly state the points stated in the instruction and never deviate from them to which will weaken your points and arguments. Also, be more specific when you're elaborating on any points. It means do not just state your opinions. Also, add more salt and demonstrate its validity with concrete details. This is where mentioning real places, people, and situation can be powerful and helpful at the same time. A good strategy to score higher in the CELPIP writing task 1 is to use examples in your supporting sentences. Instead of giving a weak and vague examples like this, I recommend taking a day trip to Niagara Falls. Try this one. To escape the city hustle, I recommend a day trip to Niagara Falls. It's a beautiful natural wonder only a short drive away, and my friend Sarah recently raved about the breathtaking views and exciting boat tours she experienced. So, this sentence, as you saw, is stronger with a specific location, distance, and personal anecdote. This strategy is more compelling. So, make sure you use real names, specific locations, and some anecdotes in order to achieve higher scores. Remember, use vivid language and sensory details to create a clear picture in the recipient's mind. Maintain clarity and conciseness while providing sufficient information. Strike a balance. Use real life references strategically without overwhelming the reader with unnecessary details. By crafting well structured, specific, and engaging supporting ideas, you can strengthen your message, increase persuasiveness, and demonstrate effective communication skills in your self writing task 1. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video valuable and helpful enough, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for tips and strategies. Please do not forget to share this video with your friends who are also preparing for the CELPIP exam. See you in our next video of CELPIP Writing Task 2.